What's up, everybody? The Bearded Prepper coming back to you again. Continuing in my theme of winter prepping activities, I just wanted to show you guys what's going on in my garden. I think you've heard me talk about it for a while if you've been following along. Since I've started this new gardening initiative, since I relocated to this current location, I've had the goal of just sustainable agriculture, or if you will, regenerative agriculture. Really, it's just agriculture the way it was intended to be in nature. You working symbiotically with the land, not just taking from it and then having to, every year replenish what you've taken away in an artificial sense, but more of a natural rhythm of things. Because the soil it's really is a little microcosm of living creatures. As a matter of fact, there's more microscopic creatures in a cup of soil than we probably have in our whole country. We just can't see it, so we don't realize how diverse the life is actually subterranean. But like any other life form, it can starve to death, or you can weaken it, or you can kill off part of the population and only have some parts survive. But you know what? Seeing is believing. Let me just take you on a quick tour of what I've done to transform my raised bed garden this winter. Here we go. It looks a lot different than the last time you saw it, right? Remember the last update I had showed you, it just had the compost, and look under here. Remember the leaves under there? Now I've got this big thick mat of chemical-free hay. I, through another connection, was able to get hooked up with a guy that cuts really good hay. I mean, if you were using this as animal feed, look at that. That's just pure, good, honest to goodness straw. Really not hardly any weed activity in there. He doesn't use any chemicals on his hay, so I know it's herbicide-free, pesticide-free. Won't do anything to damage either the subterranean life or either my plant life through residual chemicals in the soil that may transfer from the hay. Here I've got mounds for sweet potatoes. Same principle. I mounded it up, covered it in leaves, probably about 6 inches of leaves that matted down to a thick matting of leaves, and now the matting of hay on top. And I've got some regular rows here for yellow and white potatoes. And then the rest of my garden, which will be tomatoes, green beans, peppers, beets, squash, things of that nature. All your typical variety, what we eat. And I'm taking a different approach because my neighbor is partnering with me still next door, and we've agreed to do a tiered approach. The far side of the garden is the north side, so on the back fence, I've still got to put the fence up, is going to be the tomatoes. First it's going to be peas, like sugar snap peas, snow peas, which will complement the tomatoes that we'll plant later. So we're going to have the fencing up and then secure them to the fencing in the back because they're the tallest. Next we'll have the peppers because they're the next tallest. Then the green beans, then the beets, and the ground rounders, some cucumbers, things of that nature. And you may be wondering, why the tiered approach? Well, I'm going to get into that. And there's the one little Brussels sprout that made it through the winter. And a couple of onions and some celery there I've got staked off so we don't walk on it. Look at that. Brussels are going to be ready not too long from now. Anyway, let's get back out of the weather here, away from the dog we're alerting, and talk a little bit more. All right. If you guys haven't figured out by now, if you've watched any of my videos before now, you know that I obviously have a strong faith in Jesus Christ. My Christian faith is very deeply rooted, and I try to infuse that into everything that I approach, including gardening. Some of you probably say, wait, what? Biblical gardening, what is that? Well, let's go all the way back to the beginning. In the Garden of Eden, That's where God planted human beings. And what did he plant them there for? To tend the garden. That was their job. There's no talk of, the need to till over the Garden of Eden, to do anything other than work with nature. God created this world to sustain agriculture. As a matter of fact, the plants were created before us people, right? So, taking on that tradition of caring for the garden, caring for the plants, I don't see any need to disrupt the soil any more than necessary. If we keep that compost underneath and a layer of leaves, and then thatch that with the thatch, whether it be straw like I've done, some people use aged wood chips, things of that nature, that will start breaking down underneath. If you've got rich soil and you've allowed the microscopic subterranean life to return to your growing spot, then all you're doing is feeding it, right? Yeah, the plants that you grow and eat, they're going to take some of that soil nutrients back out, and you're going to consume it. But guess what? With the leftovers, with the unusable parts of those plants, in my case, mixed with my chicken litter, some leaves, any kind of plant trimmings I have, scraps that our chickens won't eat, go into the compost. And then every year, at least once a year, I put a layer of that compost back on the dirt, back on the garden spot. And then every year, I'm going to put a layer of leaves and then a thatch of some type on top of that. And you know what happens underneath as that's occurring? All of the thatch from last year that's been breaking down, all of the nutritious compost for the soil that you've layered on top of that, underneath the new layer of leaves and hay or thatch or wood chips, whatever you're using, it's decomposing. So not only are you adding your compost back to it to replace nutrients you removed the year before, you're also having what I call on-demand composting actually in your garden bed, in your growing bed, because all of that organic material is breaking down and returning to the soil. Earthworms are living in there along with the other microscopic creatures, and they're breaking that back down into rich black earth. As a matter of fact, let me show you something. I'll show you a demonstration. Hold on one second. Let me grab it. Okay, welcome back to the impromptu demonstration. You know, most of us, at least in the southeast, and even here in Virginia, start off with something that looks like this. All right, this is a jar of just good old red clay. Unless you're making pottery, this is not what you want. Or maybe holding water in a pond, but that's not what you're looking for. You know, when it dries, this is what it is. Look at that big clod. It's almost like a rock, just hard rock clay. That's what a lot of us are working with when we start to grow our own garden. But you know what I'm telling you about, this process of restoring the soil, of returning it to the way God intended for it to be, turns it into something like this. This is a bit compacted, but after several years, my friend has been able to turn this clay, this literally came from his land when he bought it. And you can see, I've got it upside down where I took a plug out. You may not be able to see it, but right at the very bottom where it's compacted in, there's a little bit of that red clay still there. But look at all of that rich stuff in between. This is about compacted down in here. In his garden, it's more arable, and it's probably about 5 or 6 inches of dark soil. And you can't really tell, but there's a layer of leaves there. You can see the layer of straw on top. Same concept, only he's been able to do this to his garden spot for about 5 years now. So in 5 years, he went from this to this. Which would you rather grow in? And when you touch this, it's soft, it's easily manipulated, it's arable, it's easy for roots to grow throughout it, and that is some rich, nutrient-dense soil. And you can't get there without helping the soil replenish itself. If you're going to take from it, you need to replenish it. But you know, you can work hand in hand with nature to be able to replenish the soil, because this is my compost. You can see it's light, it's fluffy. You mix that with your soil, the earthworms love it, the microbes love it. It gets lots of little air pockets in your soil for it to lighten up and break up that dense soil. Because this plus this equals this. It's that simple. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. And for those of you that are in Central Virginia that were able to attend the seminar I gave at East Coast Readiness in Troy, Virginia recently, you heard the full spiel. I'll try to work in different aspects of that presentation throughout some of my videos as we go through the garden cycle this year. But this is the starting point. If you really want to have rich, nutrient-dense soil, so that you're not dependent on chemical fertilizers, you're not dependent on chemicals to kill weeds, you don't want to work yourself to death out there tilling the soil multiple times a week to get the grass, to get the weeds out, maybe you should consider this natural approach too. It takes work to get there. The rich soil doesn't just happen overnight, but through following these steps and doing your own research for your area, you can get a good growing spot that is mostly, nobody is going to be completely weed free, but mostly weed free. And when you do pull the weeds up, it's easy just to pull the whole roots and everything out. And you'll be self-sufficient. You won't need to depend on going to the store to get all these things to grow your garden. Get into heirloom seeds, and you can even save your own seeds. I can tell you, if you grow your own produce from heirloom seeds, you will always have more seeds than you need. You'll have plenty to use and plenty to share. So that's it for this video. I just kind of wanted to give you a garden update on wintertime garden prepping, how I'm approaching it. And you notice the wood chips to the side. After those age for another year and compost themselves, I may even switch over to them next year, since they're there, they're available, they're free, and they're plentiful. And just have a wood chip thatch instead of the hay. We'll see. So until next time, I encourage you, seek the wisdom of our Lord and Savior. Try to work in tandem with His creation. Do something to get yourself better prepared. Until next time, God bless. I'm the Bearded Prepper, signing off.